Hey, Margie here. Are you ready to learn about a simple, powerful technique that can reduce your stress, improve your bones, and overall health? Well, if the answer is yes, then you are in the right place because today we're talking about Jin Shin Jyutsu with our special guest, Julia Millspaugh. And Julia is a board certified holistic nurse who practices Jin Shin Jyutsu with patients and staff in the hospital. She was the primary investigator in the 2017 Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help research study at Morristown Medical Center. She is also the nurse planner for the Jin Shin Jyutsu Professional Practitioner course and assistant manager for Integrative Medicine at Morristown Medical Center. And in today's talk, we discuss Jin Shin Jyutsu and easy ways that you can put it into your life. And Julie also demonstrates how we can utilize it. So stay tuned, lots of great information.
Welcome, Julia. I'm really excited to have you here because this topic is something I'm passionate about because I do this every single day, and we'll talk about that. But I just think it's something that the listeners may not know about, and it's a tool that's so powerful and easy to use. So welcome.
Thank you, Margie. I'm so excited to be here and share with you this wonderful art form. So simple. It's something you could do on yourself, and really excited to talk about it today.
Great. And that's what I like. Simple things that have powerful results. And that's what this is. Whenever I've shown people, they're like looking at me like, oh, come on, this can really do something. And they're always like, wow, that was so amazing. So
I always say the proof is in the pudding.
Exactly. And everyone, we're going to show you some things so you will be able to do things and see for yourself. But let's just start out, because what is the name it has this mystique to it, Jin Shin Jyutsu. So why don't you just tell us a little about what it is and how it works?
Okay, so Jin Shin Jyutsu is a light touch energy modality, and it addresses harmonizing energy in the body. There are 26 sets of safety energy locks, and those are different areas on the body that we can hold in different sequences to bring about balance. Safety energy locks act like circuit breakers. So when we get stressed or tired, these different areas, these different safety energy locks can get blocked energetically. So by holding the different areas, we're connecting that energetic pathway again, and we're harmonizing it. The touch in Jin Shin Jyutsu is very gentle. So it's different than, say, massage, where you're going to the area of discomfort and you're putting pressure and you're working on it. Jin Shin Jyutsu, it's more like connecting the dots. So there isn't pressure involved. You're just simply placing your hands on different areas.
That was the first thing that's so amazing to me as a physical therapist. And I like acupressure points and things. I was so used to, because a lot of the points are somewhat similar. You're so used to putting this deep pressure and holding it that it was really a bit different, but yet amazingly effective. So that's what's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole different philosophy. And it's like learning a new language. You know, we think in general, we think of going to the area where the discomfort is. But this is very, so we could be holding someplace down on your foot, and it could be helping someplace on the top of your body or your head. It also follows the major energy lines in the body, and that's what we call flows. So the safety energy locks fall on the different flows in the body. So you're helping that whole energetic pattern.
And they do overlap with the acupuncture points in somewhat, correct?
They do, yes, they do. It's the mode that's different. So acupuncture is obviously with the needles, and Jin Shin Jyutsu is with the hands.
So let's talk, how did you come to learn this and practice it? I always love to hear the backstory of how people got involved and what they do. So I know you're a holistic nurse, and how did you get involved with Jin Shin Jyutsu?
It takes like a little while to learn it. I would have to say my mom. My mom started studying Jin Shin Jyutsu in the 1980s, and she started practicing it and studying it. And so I was the kid, my friends would come over and she would offer us whole wheat pancakes and an energy session. And now all my friends are like, wow, she was way ahead of her time. So I really grew up not only getting sessions, but in the whole culture of it, approaching things from a holistic perspective. And we have a big community here in New Jersey. So, of course, then I went on to do my own studies, and I got a degree in religion and master's in psychology, and also became a nurse. So I always tell people I got a degree in body, mind, and spirit, and all roads led back to Jin Shin Jyutsu for me. So this is now the modality that I use to combine all those things and work with people.
And I know there's so many areas that it's helpful, but what if you had to give a few areas that, right now, I guess for everybody listening, where anxiety is a little bit up, this is an amazing tool. And I'm so excited that we're going to share ways they can use that. But
Really,
where have you found, I guess, have you found, if you had to say the top areas where you found this just so successful and helpful?
Well, I think you just named the first one, which is anxiety and stress. This most often has the effect of relaxing people. But you can use it for a specific ailment if something specifically is going on with you, or you can use it for more general anxiety or pain. It can help a lot if someone's having pain in their body. So it really works on multiple levels, but I'd say anxiety is the biggie.
And the other thing that we talked about beforehand is it can help bone health. So wait till you hear how easy this is to do something that can really have a positive effect on your bones. So why don't we go there? Why don't we just tell people how they can use this to improve their bone health?
Sure. Well, we can all first start right now by holding our pinky finger. So you can see it. If you are looking on a screen, you can see I am holding, and it doesn't matter which hand you choose. I'm taking my left hand and I'm wrapping it around my pinky finger. I'm not using any pressure. I'm just gently holding it. And I'm going to then relax my hand in my lap. So this is a great example of how it helps bones and bone health. The pinky finger is related to the skeletal system. And in Jin Shin Jyutsu, it's truly a holistic modality because everything is related to an emotion, a physical attribute, and an organ function. So the pinky finger is related to the skeletal system. It's related to the attitude of pretense. So when we're trying so hard to keep up with everything, and it's related to the heart and small intestine organ function energies. So this is a really simple tool that you can use for bone health.
And what would you say? How long would you,
hold it?
How many times a day? If someone's trying to help their bones through doing this, what would be, if someone wasn't doing, what would you say in the best scenario?
So the fun thing is there are no rules or rhymes for how long you can hold something. So you could hold this all day long. I work behind a computer a lot. And so I find myself holding my fingers, going through all of them throughout the day. So the beautiful thing is you can do it anywhere at any time. It's very simple, but it has really powerful effects. And each finger is associated with a different layer, a different emotion, and different organs. So you can really get benefits by going through all your fingers. I would say if you're beginning, I would hold like 3 to 5 minutes on a finger. It's great if you can go through all of your fingers on both hands. That would be ideal. But if you only have time to do one set of fingers, or if you only have time to hold your pinky or whatever finger it is, it's all great stuff.
You know what would be good? I think I just have to tell you, I do this every morning. This is part of my morning routine. So I'm in the bed. The absolutely first thing I do is I just And I just go till I feel a pulse. You know, I hold it till I feel a pulse. Then I go to the next finger, and then I just go through all the fingers. That's like step one, and it just energizes me. It just balances me. And then I do a few other things, but it's the very first thing I do, and it's so easy, but as you said, so powerful. But why don't you?
Yeah.
We're not going to go through every single thing, but maybe just the emotions, because I
Sure.
think that's helpful. So if you know, fear, what finger you should touch. So maybe that
Right.
would be helpful. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go through the fingers. The thumb is related to the attitude of worry, the emotion of worry. So if you tend to be a worrywart, hold your thumb. We see little babies when they're little, they're sucking their thumbs. That's very soothing for them. And that also helps their digestion. So it's also related to the stomach and spleen energy. So you're hitting that, body, mind, spirit level. But anyway, the thumb, yep, is for worry. The index finger is great for fear. So fear, sort of the big existential fear, if you're experiencing a lot of fear, it's great to hold this. The middle finger is related to, shockingly, the attitude of anger. So when we have an imbalance with anger, you can hold that. The ring finger is related to sadness or grief, which is also a biggie right now. And of course, the pinky that is related to pretense, or when we're trying so hard to keep up. So they're all very related. And in Jin Shin Jyutsu, the theory is that as human beings, we all have emotions. We all experience all of these things, but they can become stuck. And so we can work with our emotions energetically. And that's what this is. When you're holding these different fingers, you're balancing those emotions.
It's so great. The nice thing is you can do it under a desk. You can be on Zoom. You can do this and nobody even knows. When I do it, I do it instinctively. I don't even realize I'm doing it
I know.
anymore. The dentist office. I do not like being on the chair, and I'm doing my Jin Shin Jyutsu. But you could also touch, right? If for some reason
Yes.
you can't use one, tell us how we do that. If you for some reason you're on the dentist chair, your hands are separated and you can't touch one hand to the other.
You can't touch one hand to the other. Well,
Can you do this also?
Yeah, you can touch fingers like this, or you can go over your fingernail. It's really about touching skin, or not, I shouldn't say skin to skin because we're clothed, but it's touching another area on your body. And what I say too is that we're doing Jin Shin Jyutsu on ourselves all the time. I don't know if you've ever woken up and your foot is on your knee in a triangle and your arms are over here. We're harmonizing ourselves constantly. So there's almost an innate wisdom where you know where you need to be harmonized.
So it's so fascinating because I've had amazing experiences because I use this myself, but I also teach clients how to use it as well. Not that I'm a practitioner, I'm not, but I know a few things. But the interesting thing, so I had learned Jin Shin Jyutsu years ago, like 17 years ago, when my mother was diagnosed. It was more than that even, when she had ovarian cancer, and she would see a practitioner on a regular basis because it really helped her. It helped her keep her energy, and in her condition, she was walking and doing things when nobody else was. So it was really amazing. But a couple of things were interesting. The ring finger helped with blood. And so before she got a port and she needed to give blood, if she held her finger, it was amazing that it just helped the blood flow. And it was very easy for them to draw the blood without holding the finger. There was really a big, big difference. So you can see, I've had really amazing effects from something so simple as holding one finger. So it's amazing.
And I think that's because not only does it relax you, so it'd be easier to get blood, but it also, that's related to the lung and large intestine. And so you're talking about oxygenation and oxygenating the blood. So it's doing multiple things.
So interesting. So I know you were involved in a study. What did they find in the study that you had done with the nurses?
Yeah, so I did a research study looking at Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help and teaching the nurses and looking at stress levels and caring efficacy. And caring efficacy is how well one perceives they're relating to another person. So for a nurse, it's how well he or she perceives they're relating to their patients. And we taught 3 classes over the course of a month, and we asked them to practice 20 minutes a day, and we did measurements throughout. And we found a really big decrease in stress and a really big increase in caring efficacy. So it was a very exciting study. And now a lot of nurses know how to do it on themselves throughout their day to calm themselves and decrease anxiety. So it was a very exciting study for us.
That's so incredible because, so many people resort to antidepressants or they resort to all sorts of things when there's times of anxiety. So to be able to use a modality like this that you can do on yourself is amazing. It's just such an incredible tool. So what types of things did they do? Did they do the fingers? What types of things?
They did the fingers. They did something called the main central vertical. And that is another whole flow sequence where you're basically going down the front of the body. And what that's doing is it's bringing energy down out of your head. A lot of us have so much going on in our heads, and a lot of energy is stuck up there, whether you're anxious or you have headaches, whatever it is. But that really brings the energy down and it grounds you. So I do that daily. That's a biggie for me. And I know a lot of people because it's very relaxing and grounding. So that was a big one. And then different sequences do different things as you get into the study of it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's funny because that's part 2 of my morning routine as well, because that's what I had learned to help my mother. I had gone to I had gone to learn the technique. So I do the thing. That's my extent of doing Jin Shin Jyutsu. But I do the fingers and then I do the central channel. And after that, it's just incredible. So maybe I'll put a link to where they can find maybe some information on that so like people can.
Right. Yeah. And so also the theory is if you're doing something like self-help, Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help daily, you're constantly bringing yourself back into balance. And that has everything to do with prevention. So if you're always bringing yourself back into balance or doing it daily, it's really helping you. And it's like nutrition or exercise. The more you practice it, the more you feel it. It's cumulative. And it's really all about prevention. So
and, the funny thing that seems to happen is that you do it instinctively. Like for me and the dentist, I don't even think about it. All of a sudden I'm doing my fingers. It just happens because I guess I know it calms me down. And it's really, I'm just so excited that you're here to share this because I think it's something that helps. People always tell me afterwards, wow, that was so helpful. They just sat there, they did their fingers and it made such a big difference. In terms of seeing a practitioner though, what would, in terms of the difference between what the practitioner will do versus what we can do ourselves, or how does a practitioner sort of figure out where they start with somebody?
Sure. So that gets into the deeper study of Jin Shin Jyutsu. And when you get into that, the practitioner is listening to the pulses on the client's body. And so I always say it's like learning a new language. The pulses have different qualities and they mean different things. And those qualities tell you about where the source of the imbalance is. So a practitioner will determine what flows they're doing based on the quality of what they hear in the pulses. They also do body reading. So, we're trained, you can look at a body and you can see imbalances that way. And so we use that in our assessment when we're working on someone else. When you're doing self-help, it's just more general. You're not really, doing anything based on your own pulses.
And that's a good thing, that you can't mess it up.
No, you can't
right?
mess it up.
And how easy is it to hold fingers or do a couple points that it's just, and as you said, the results are in, when you experience it yourself, it's quite amazing.
It really is. And one thing it's so great for if people have any sleep issues. So if you either have trouble falling asleep or you wake up in the middle of the night, it's so effective for calming you down again and getting back to sleep. If I wake up in the middle of the night, the simplest hold. So I either hold my palms together.
So you
This,
wait, tell everyone in case they're not watching. So you take your palms and you put them together straight like a prayer position?
it can be that way, can
Okay.
be like in a prayer position, or you can just fold your hands over each other, but just so that your palms are holding. And again, there's no pressure. You're not like squeezing or anything. It's so gentle. And I just do that. And this pressure point of your palm is all encompassing of all of the different emotions, all the different organs. You're really getting to everything. It's like that main central, like going down the body we were talking about. So simple, it'll just relax you, help you fall back asleep.
Wow.
So that's a really neat tool.
It actually feels, I've never done this one, but it feels so good. It just
I know.
feels right. I think the difference is we're so used to squeezing or really rubbing points, but it's just this very light touch and just
Yeah.
palm to palm. Wow.
It is. And you look normal too. I mean, you could be doing this anywhere and no one would, question what you were doing there. So just looks natural.
That's right. Because sometimes if you're holding the finger,
well, when you're doing this in a meeting, putting your hand on your head and your other hand between your eyebrows, it can look a little funny, but.
Right. Right. But other things you can do under the desk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting. And so the typical treatments when someone does see a practitioner, because I know they call them different flows. And so typically, how long is a session when people would go, a typical Jin Shin Jyutsu?
A typical session is about 50 minutes to an hour.
Oh, okay. And how long?
And it's really nice.
So basically when you're working on someone, you're holding their points until you feel a pulse or something. And then when do you know to move on to the next set of points?
Yeah, that's a great question. It becomes intuitive very quickly as you practice. But when you're starting out, I'd say again, 3 to 5 minutes, and some people need a clock. So you can put your little clock up there and, look at 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one and the next one. But like I say, quickly it becomes pretty intuitive. And sometimes you won't feel a pulse at all. So you don't have to wait for a pulse to come in. Sometimes it'll just be quiet and you won't hear anything, and that's okay. That's fine. That's also giving us information as practitioners. When you feel a totally quiet part of the body, that can mean exhaustion. That can mean a lot of things, but sometimes people feel a pulse, sometimes people don't.
So when people are starting this now, because now that we're exciting them, we're getting so in terms of the holding,
yeah,
if someone does feel a pulse then, so all right, so they're laying down or they're sitting up, whatever they're doing, they're holding the one finger, and should they do it for what's your best suggestion in terms of when they're starting out, how long to hold each finger for?
Yeah, I think I'd say 3 to 5 minutes
Each finger.
and then each finger.
Okay. And so if they don't have time to do it, because I definitely don't do it. Like in the morning, I just do it and then I feel a pulse. I just sort of go to the next one. So I guess, is that not a good idea to do it quickly?
No, that's fine. Yeah, you can do it, if you only have a few minutes, hold a finger and that's fine. It's all helpful, whether you can do it for 10 seconds or 10 minutes,
But an ideal situation, even if you're watching TV or something, right? At the end of the day, you could just sit there for a couple minutes each
exactly.
finger.
And you bring up a good point. Some people ask if do you have to focus your attention anywhere? And in Jin Shin Jyutsu, you don't. You can be watching the TV, you can be lying down, you can be in a meeting, you can be anywhere. It doesn't have to do with bringing your attention or intention to what you're holding, if you will.
I mean, how amazing is this? You don't have to even think about it. You can it's just so simple. That's what's that to me is the miracle, that it's so powerful, but yet
Mhm.
so very simple. And it's not something, it's just shocking to me that everybody doesn't know this. Easiest technique ever. And people, not that as a practitioner. I think practitioner is a whole different level. And there's so much that you need to know and so much you need to evaluate. But in terms of using some simple tools for yourself, I'm always so surprised that it's just not out there, because
Yes.
I don't know that I would have learned it had my mother not have been sick in this area that I live in. There are practitioners, so that we were,
Yes.
she had gone to actually a cancer treatment program, where a holistic program, where a support group, and that's where they use this with all the cancer patients, which was so fabulous. That's where I was
Yes.
introduced to it. And so such a
Yeah.
really,
And another thing about that is it's very empowering when someone can be involved in their own healing process. So if they're in a hospital setting and we're saying, hold this finger, hold that finger, they're helping themselves. They're involved in that process. It's different than taking a medicine or something, which are, they're both great, but it can be empowering to be a part of helping yourself.
Julia, I love that, because I teach a happiness course. And one of the base things is that not to be a victim, but to be a victor, and to look for solutions. So instead of saying, oh, poor me, I can hold my finger and that's going to help me. So I think that's such
Yeah.
a good point that you brought up,
Yeah.
that something that we can do to help
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's great. And so you're going to give us, well, you're doing a really wonderful thing at the end of this, because I know a lot of people are listening to this and maybe not watching it. But so Julia and I are going to, well, actually, Julia, I'm not really doing much, is going to walk us through a little, what do you call it? Like a meditation session, or?
Yeah, I call it a Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help meditation. So it's about a 15 to 20-minute Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help sequence that we do. And I really just guide you through it. So it's a
I'm real.
very nice experiential thing.
So we're going to do that after the podcast, and I'll give everybody the link. So in your own time, when you're ready to do this, you're going to have this great tool that you can just put on and try it and see what happens, which is really great. In terms of the nurses, so have do they continue to use it from the study?
Yes, I think people really do. I mean, it's so simple and it's free, and people have found that it's really helped. So I think that people are using it. Yeah.
Oh, so great. So if people want to find, people who are listening are all over the place. So if they want to find a practitioner, what's the best way for them to go about that?
That's a great question.
Do
I
they go
practice
to
it in
do
a
they go to the
hospital.
website though? Do they go to like the
Yeah,
Jin Shin?
the www.jinshinjutsuinc.net, I believe is
And
what
I'll
it is.
put that link in. Okay, great.
Okay. And on that, actually, the Jin Shin Jyutsu teachers from all over the world have been doing daily Jin Shin Jyutsu self-help meditations. They're called We Are One, and they're all doing different sequences. And it's really nice just to tap into. They're free. They're on YouTube. And you just get a multitude of different sequences that you can do. And they're doing a little meditation with it.
Oh, how wonderful is this? Why is this not on national news? Isn't it? It's always exciting to me. Again, I've been doing this for so many years, but it's just, as I said, it's such a surprise that this isn't just out there, because it's just such a wonderful, wonderful self-help tool for everything, really.
Yeah,
And you can,
definitely.
the other thing is you can add things you're already doing. You're doing deep breathing, add it to the finger holds, or
Exactly.
right?
Any of your tools that you have in your tool belt, you can add to this. So for instance, one of my colleagues knows a lot about breath work. So she combines doing different holds while she's teaching breath work. And the combination is just wonderful. So
Fabulous. Is there anything, other stories or anything that you want to share with people that you think would, anything that you want to?
well, I was thinking about bone health, and I know another good short little sequence that you can do. It's a great tool for your tool belt, like I said.
Okay, let us know. Okay.
So you take, let's start with our right hand. You take your right hand, and I know some of you aren't watching, but you're hearing. You take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder. And then you're going to take your left hand and you're going to put it in your left groin/hip area. And you're just going to hold that.
Like where? Like right in the, between your
Right in the
pubic bone?
crease.
Oh, right in the crease. Okay. So between the pubic bone and, okay.
The
right,
outer
right.
hip.
Okay, got it.
Yep, right in there.
In the crease. Okay.
And so you're going to hold this, again, very gentle for 3 to 5 minutes. And then the second step is you're going to take your left hand and you're going to put it under your left sit bone. So you're basically sitting on your hand and you're keeping your right hand on your shoulder and you're holding that for 3 to 5 minutes. And then you can switch and do the other side when you're done. This helps everything structural in your body. It's related to the bladder and kidney lines come down this way, and it's right along your spine there. So these two holds can be very relaxing. They can be very balancing, and they're just good for your bones.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's really easy and fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's the thing. There's so many different ways we can get in and help ourselves and help nourish our bones, help nourish our overall health. And this is just easy, a couple holds. But I've seen, once you witness things, if I guess for me, it was so shocking with my mother and in the blood, and there's such a difference. Were they able to get blood or not? And also just for someone who was quite sick to have energy. I think, have you seen that a lot, that people's energy levels increase significantly when they get these treatments?
Well, it's interesting because they either, it depends on our own, being basically. And some people are way too energized and need to come down. And some people are just have no energy and need to come up. So
good point,
because it's balancing, it just goes to where the imbalance is. So if you're low in energy, it can be very energizing.
Like my mother was just sick. And so it gave her energy. She was able to, she was on different treatments, and it just, especially through the chemo, it was amazing through the chemo, how well she felt. And it just all in all helped her. It helped her so much that when she went to see the doctor and she had asked him a question about something, and this was pretty far along when she was quite sick, he said to her, she asked a question. She goes, "Oh, well, none of my patients are walking who are in your situation." And she was up and doing things. And I really attribute that she was going twice a week and doing things on herself as well. So
exactly. Well, I often get into the conversation with people. What is this term balance that we bring up? What does that really mean? And when you experience Jin Shin Jyutsu, just like you're saying, it meant your mom had more energy and she could get up and walk and she felt more herself. So for different people, it means different things, but it's that overall sense of well-being and feeling like yourself, more like yourself.
I wanted to share one other time I used this. My husband and some of the people who have been listening to the podcast had heard his story on autoimmunity. He had a situation where he got really sick, and it ended up being an autoimmune situation, and part of it was due to gluten. But when all the doctors said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do," I mean, really, that's what happened. And that's when I said, all right, we started looking at things from a different perspective. But part of it, he was very tired and different things. And I said, you know what? I only know, I'm not a practitioner. So I know a couple things. So I know the fingers, and I know the main line, or whatever it's called. So that's all I did. I said, you know what? I'm going to do energy work with you I did it twice a day. So twice a day I did to him. I did each finger, and then I did the main line on him. And between that and everything else, he got better. But every single day, as you said, you felt like there was something you could do. And it really seemed, just the whole combination of everything worked. but it's just a wonderful way. And you don't have to know energy work. You don't have to be an expert, and you
Right.
can't mess it up. So I just highly, highly, highly recommend this. Are there any books? I know that, so they go to the website, they'll get information. Are there any
Yeah.
books that you recommend?
There is a book called The Touch of Healing by Alice Burmeister, and that is a great intro to Jin Shin
Good.
Jyutsu
Okay.
and
Great.
Jin Shin Jyutsu Self-Help. And there's another one by one of our German teachers, Waltraud Rieger Krauss. And I believe I would have to check the title, but the Touch of Healing is in Your Hands or something like that. But that's the other great resource. I love both of those. They have a
Fabulous.
lot
Okay.
of great information.
Fabulous. Oh, good. Well, we could go on because there's so much,
Yes.
but I think you really gave everybody a great introduction, and you and I are going to do the little video that people will be able to utilize so that you can really get an experience of this, and that will have that link for you. And any last minute things? You've been so helpful, and I'm really excited that you.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. I just thank you so much. And I just see all your enthusiasm. It's just wonderful to be here. So thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing this. And, easy tweaks that can be powerful. So I can't wait to hear from the listeners once you try this, what your experience has been. So thanks
Great.
so much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed today's interview with Julia, and now have some tools that you can put into your life to help reduce stress and improve your health. All the links we talked about will be in the show notes, and Julia did record a great video so that you can have a practice session with Jin Shin Jyutsu. So bye for now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.